Hi.
Hi,
Hi. Hello, my name is Anne.
my name's Hillary.
Welcome. Welcome. We invite you to join us here at Grace Between Races as an online gathering space to have conversation about race reconciliation.
So, Anne, who are we and why are we doing this? If I was watching this right now, that's what I would be thinking.
Yeah, I would be thinking the same thing. Um, well, my name is Anne, and I am a mother of four children. And I was born in Trinidad and Tobago, and I reside in Canada. So this issue on race is a really sensitive topic for so many of us, and it's something that I would like to at least make a difference so that my children and my grandchildren would have a better um, a viewpoint, better experience when it comes to race relationship.
Mm.
Um, the way that I experienced it in the past. I mean, most of us are coming from experiences that are very traumatic, very painful. And we hope by opening space for these conversations, we could bring about some kind of reconciliation and healing. The way Hillary and myself met was really on a summit that was held by Stephanie Briggs called Feminine Emergence. And I came across Stephanie through Jocelyn Mercado. So this is about my third summit that I did. And from my experience, I really enjoyed Stephanie's summit because it offered something that I didn't experience in the other two. But by going through this summit, usually each speaker will give a gift at the end of their lecture, and I would usually contact or try to investigate to learn more about the ones that I find interesting. So Hillary Lake was one of the person on that panel, and I reached out to her based on what she was offering, just to find out a little bit more about what she was doing and see what's up. So we happened to by reaching out, we happened to strike a conversation, and which was very interesting. And here we are up today from that conversation. So this
Mm.
is how we came about formulating Grace Between Races.
Mm. Yeah, I was really moved by your story when you shared it with me and your openness and your curiosity. And um, I asked you more. I asked you, what is it like to be a woman of color who's asking a white woman for healing?
Right.
And yeah, and you shared so openly, and I felt my heart expanding, and I was really grateful for that conversation, and um, wasn't sure how we would do some healing together. I don't really do online healings, not much, and yet you reached back out and said, "Hey, I want to continue that conversation," and you said about doing a blog, and then I thought, well, if it's going to be about race, let's do a video. Let's be really vulnerable and people see us, right? Have it be about embodiment a bit more in this way. And and you were like, yeah, let's do it. And we just have been talking for the last 3-4 months, getting to know each other and visioning what it could be and taking steps forward. And I felt like every time I would connect with you in conversation, I'd get these big ideas, and like information was coming through, and it just guided us together. And so here we are, creating Grace Between Races to invite other people, such as yourself, whoever you are out there, into this conversation with us, and to share your story with us too. And I have a background in ministry, and I call myself an expressive arts community minister. And I do a practice some of you know of called Moving in Grace. That is a mindful embodiment practice to cultivate resilience. And while I love doing work in person with people, dancing and moving and meditating, I really want to engage in more dialogue and to talk with more people about who they are and learn more about why there are these injustices in the world and what we can do about them. And I've learned a lot through different trainings, and yet I feel called to engage with a lot more diversity in my life. I feel very void of that in a lot of ways, living in Western Massachusetts. That's a very white part of Western Massachusetts. And so there was this aliveness in talking to you, and I've really enjoyed continuing that, and I'm excited to engage with more people who come alive when you engage with the hard stuff and the real truth and the stories that make us who we are, and can bring about some deeper change.
Well, I mean, that's exactly why we're here, Hillary.
Yeah.
A part of the whole conversation came about because I know Stephanie. She tried to have much more diversity on her panel, but from my past experience with the first two summits, there were a few diverse people from different backgrounds, but the majority of people were white people. And for me, my question was, well, why aren't there more diversity? Is that a true representation of the world? And or is it still a reflection of the type of world that is reflecting only a certain cultural background? And then, so there was some questions that was coming up for me. Basically, for me, it was not sitting right as far as true representation of the world. And this came up in my conversation with Hillary, and this is what we came to an understanding, and a conversation striked up. And also, we realized that Stephanie, on her panel, was the first time I myself noticed that there was such a diverse panel, and that was really, it made me feel like, wow, this is different. Things are changing. It's coming around, because from the first two that I participated in, it made a difference. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that if I'm feeling this way, I'm sure there are other people in the world who's looking at it and perhaps feeling something like that.
Yeah.
So our conversation now is to progress on this topic, to kind of go ahead and elaborate on it and see where we could go and find healing from this perspective.
Yeah.
How does inclusion affect us? How does exclusion affect us? And what can we do to make things more inclusive, so that everybody could feel comfortable?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And personally, I want to be working with more diverse groups of people. And in order to do that, I need to learn more about myself and how to show up with an awareness of my privilege and how to be helpful if I can be. And that's not always the case, you know. I certainly don't know what's needed, and I think the best thing that we can do for each other is to listen to each other's stories. And so if I want to learn, why not create a forum and a context in which to bring people in to share their stories and to help their stories to be heard by others as well. And so I'm thrilled that you're interested, and I'm really excited to see who else of you out there is interested to share your experience and your stories and your vision with us and the world as well. So
Absolutely.
we're going to create an ongoing space.
Yeah. Well, you know, the mission for this collaborative work is to hold space for diverse individuals and communities to come together with grace, to express, to create, and to heal across differences.
Mm.
And the vision is for race reconciliation through raw conversations about our experiences, with the purpose of collaborative healing for all. So this is the vision.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that, you know, there's an interest outside there for everyone to participate, to check in with us from week to week. I think it's going to be bi-weekly. But Hillary's going to discuss the first gathering, and she'll give you the dates and so forth, so we could all meet together for the first one, and come join us and see how we could expand on this topic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I also want to share that our intention for each gathering is to have these raw, honest, and open conversations with people of as diverse backgrounds as possible, discussing your experiences of inequality between races and how these experiences have affected you personally, as well as society and others around you. And we hope to facilitate an atmosphere of support to bring about greater harmony and healing for all beings. Mm-hmm. So each gathering will actually be a ceremony in which we will be passing around talking sticks.
Oh, talking sticks.
Oh, there's one backward. So we each made one, and I've been training in a practice called Walking in Balance with a local native elder out here named Strong Oak, who has been guiding the Visioning Bear Intertribal Coalition locally and training people all over this region and now nationally to do this council practice as a practice of reconciliation and restorative justice with the focus on social justice issues. Yeah, and I actually just finished the training today, so it's a big day, this Martin Luther King Day. And I feel inspired also to share some of the principles common to circles that Strong Oak shared with me. And we'll be following these in our practice as well. So these are inclusivity, that it's voluntary for anyone, that there is direct participation with everyone who is involved. There's equal opportunity and respect for everyone. And we'll also have guidelines that we'll share before each gathering, and those guidelines are open to feedback. So if you have ideas for the guidelines, we've posted them on the page, and please give us your feedback. Let us know what you think. We're going to moderate the conversation a bit, but we want you to share. And so we're encouraging people to post anything on the group page at any time, and to continue to check in with us about how this work is changing your experience and Yeah, positive, or, give us critical feedback too. We want to learn. We're new in this work, and we need to have multiple perspectives to support us. So, and just to say a little bit more about the talking stick, you know, we're honoring the elements in our sticks, and these feathers are sacred to me, and they're this stick is sacred, and every element that goes into the talking stick is sacred, and we want this time together to be recognized as sacred, and each person's voice is sacred and is bringing through equal wisdom. So when we speak, we can't necessarily all hold the talking stick because you're out there somewhere and we can't send it to you or teleport it to you. So we're going to have a virtual talking stick slide that will pop up, and then we'll go back every time that we shift to a new person. And that'll give us a chance to receive the heart of each person without crosstalk, and and recognize that witnessing and listening is just as important, even if not more important, than speaking.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to add anything about that, Anne?
Yes, so just having some guidelines to follow is always helpful. As you say, it's all inclusive, but we will follow the principles of the elders, and we're gonna take it from there. I just want to say that welcome everybody, and feel free to contact us to check in to see what's up. Come and join us to for the first gathering, see what the conversation is, and invite friends. That's how we could grow and take it into different direction. So yeah, as Hillary said, give us your feedback, and we will try to accommodate for everyone as much as possible.
Mm-hmm. And also, we want to honor the indigenous cultures that we learn these practices from, as well as our own indigenous background. And of course, my own indigenous background is hard to track for me, and so I am learning from the Indigenous American tradition, and I've been invited in by Strong Oak to share this practice, and I'm studying Tibetan Buddhism that has an indigenous lineage, and we want to honor the indigenous people of the land that we're on. And here in Western Mass, it's the Abenaki and the Nipmuc and the Pocumtuck, and many others that names are known and sometimes not known depending on where we are. And those people are still around, and we want to encourage them to share their wisdom as well. And do you want to share anything about your background, Anne?
My background, I mean, I'm just saying my talking stick, this stick was it's really from Kenya, originally. So my African ancestors, they we all coming from the one ultimately, but at the same time we have all kinds of diverse ways of representing. So just bringing love, harmony, peace, and all the wisdom from our ancestors. Let it work through us so that we could come to the place that we all want. I think at the end of the day, we all want our children to inherit, not separation, but oneness.
Blessed be. So you can join us on our first gathering that is going to be February 4th in 2 weeks, or depending on when you're watching this. And we're going to plan for it at 7 p.m. And anyone can join us on Zoom, and you'll have a chance to share a little bit about who you are and maybe some ideas for topics that you want to bring. And we're also going to have an amazing guest. Our honored guest is going to be JWoww, or Julie Woods, one word, the Urban Bliss Shaman. And she is a very dear friend and comrade and spiritual mentor and guide, and I don't know exactly what to call her because we have such a deep connection, and she's transformed my sense of reality so many times now that um, I can just say I'm eternally grateful for her and all the many beings who come through her. And she's 24 multiple personality, and she and they, and is queer, empowered Black woman who has trained generals at the Pentagon and has performed at Carnegie Hall and does healings by simply just being with people and speaking their truth. And now their message is to show up completely and fully and honestly, and to speak truth through the channel of their being. And so I'm super thrilled and excited to see what will come through them this time. And I hope that you'll join us and share your wisdom as well. And if you can't join us on the 4th, that's fine. Feel free to just post on the group that you're interested, and we'll reach out to you. And feel free to reach out to us personally too, if you would like. There's lots of opportunity, and yeah, there's no limit. That's for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, there would the recording would be available afterwards. But I guess for participating, it's nice to have people on the 4th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like participation, right?
Exactly. So you don't have to participate live. You can watch it afterwards. And we are still deciding exactly how it's going to work. So your input can help us to understand, do you want to be on these experiences live? Or would you rather watch it after the fact, kind of like a podcast, but a video podcast in a sense? So we are in that decision-making process with you as our community. Yeah,
absolutely. So come join us.
Yeah. Share your story and your being, and bring your ancestors to join ours.
Yes.
So thank you so much for listening and for bringing yourself to this moment, and may you feel blessed.
Blessings.
Bye.
Bye.